the heart of Boston, on January 15, 1919, the bustling streets were about to experience an unprecedented disaster. It began as a typical day in the North End, a lively neighborhood filled with families, shops, and the scent of freshly baked bread. The residents went about their daily routines, unaware that chaos was about to descend upon them as a massive storage tank burst, unleashing over 2.3 million gallons of thick, sticky molasses into the unsuspecting city. The United States Industrial Alcohol Company, in a bid to capitalize on the booming demand for industrial alcohol during the Prohibition era, had constructed a gigantic molasses storage tank. Towering 50 feet high and spanning 90 feet in diameter, it was designed to hold a staggering amount of the sweet liquid used for production. However, this imposing structure was not without its flaws, and the design would soon prove catastrophic. As we delve into the tank's construction, we uncover a series of neglectful decisions made by the company. Built hastily to meet rising demands, the tank's materials and design did not adequately account for the immense pressure that the expanding molasses would create, especially as temperatures fluctuated in the winter months. The residents of the North End were not blind to the potential dangers. In the weeks leading up to the disaster, whispers circulated about the tank's groans and creaks, its visible leaks, and the foul odors that wafted through the air. Yet, despite the locals' concerns, the company dismissed these warnings, choosing profit over safety. On that fateful afternoon, the temperature soared to an unseasonably warm 40 degrees Fahrenheit. As the sun warmed the massive steel tank, the molasses inside began to expand, generating pressure that would soon reach catastrophic levels. The tank, weakened by its structural flaws and poor maintenance, could not withstand the force building within it. At precisely 12:30 p.m., without warning, the tank exploded. Thunderous roar echoed through the streets as a tidal wave of molasses surged forth, cascading through Boston at an astonishing speed of 35 miles per hour. This was no ordinary flood. It was a thick, brown deluge that obliterated everything in its path, reshaping the very landscape of the North End. As the molasses flowed, panic ensued. The syrupy tide engulfed homes, businesses, and unsuspecting pedestrians, pulling them into its sticky grasp. People screamed, children cried, and a wave of chaos swept through the streets as residents desperately scrambled for safety. But the sheer force of the molasses made escape nearly impossible. Buildings collapsed under the weight of the liquid, their foundations unable to withstand the sudden onslaught. Streetcars were derailed as the molasses poured into the streets, making the familiar thoroughfares unrecognizable. The molasses was so viscous that it acted almost like quicksand, trapping people as they struggled to escape. First responders, firefighters, and volunteers rushed to the scene, but their efforts were hampered by the overwhelming thickness of the syrup. Many would soon realize that rescue was not guaranteed, and the weight of the molasses was suffocating. Among the chaos emerged harrowing stories of survival. One young boy, Anthony, was on his way home from school when the flood hit. He recalls, "I felt the ground shake beneath me, and then suddenly, it was like I was in a dream. The world turned brown, and I couldn't breathe. I just ran." Anthony's story reflects the bewilderment of many who found themselves caught in a nightmare that unfolded in mere seconds. Another survivor, Mrs. Giordano, remembered frantically searching for her children as the molasses poured through their home. "They were screaming, and I couldn't find them. It felt like I was swimming in glue, trying to save them," she recalled with tears in her eyes. In a harrowing twist, she eventually found them huddled together in a corner, frightened but miraculously unharmed. These moments of desperation and bravery were not isolated. Stories of heroism began to surface as the community banded together, united by tragedy. Neighbors pulled each other from the sticky embrace of the molasses, forming human chains to rescue those who were trapped. Yet, despite their efforts, the death toll climbed. In the end, 21 lives were lost and hundreds were injured, each one leaving an indelible mark on the history of Boston. In the days that followed, the cleanup began, but it was no easy task. The sticky residue clung to every surface, and the smell of molasses lingered for years, becoming a grim reminder of that fateful day. Cleanup crews worked tirelessly, but it was like trying to wash away a nightmare that had seeped into the very fabric of the city. Streets were closed off, businesses halted, and the community mourned. As the city began to process the devastation, attention turned to the United States Industrial Alcohol Company. Investigations revealed the company's blatant disregard for safety regulations. Eyewitness accounts of the tank's leaks and ominous sounds painted a picture of negligence that could not be ignored. The community's anger grew as more details surfaced about the company's refusal to address the potential hazards, prioritizing profit over the lives of its workers and the safety of the community. Lawsuits followed, and a public outcry for accountability echoed through the city. The Great Molasses Flood not only transformed the landscape of Boston, but also served as a grim reminder of the dangers of industrial negligence. It prompted a reevaluation of safety standards across the country, signaling a shift in how businesses operated and treated their employees and communities. In the aftermath, the tragedy led to changes in legislation regarding industrial safety practices. The flood became a catalyst for reform, emphasizing the need for stringent regulations and oversight to prevent similar disasters in the future. It marked a pivotal moment in American industrial history, highlighting the critical importance of safety and accountability in an era driven by rapid growth and expansion. Today, the Great Molasses Flood remains a fascinating yet tragic part of Boston's history. The city remembers those lost and the stories of survival that emerged from the disaster. The flood prompted a re-evaluation of industrial safety standards across the country. It was a wake-up call for corporations to prioritize safety over profit, a lesson learned too late for many. As we reflect on this sticky disaster of 1919, we are reminded of the resilience of the human spirit and the importance of vigilance in the face of industrial advancement. The Great Molasses Flood may have been a bizarre and tragic event, but it paved the way for better practices and a safer future for generations to come. In the end, let us remember the lives lost, the stories shared, and the lessons learned from the Great Molasses Flood, a tragedy that forever changed the course of history in Boston. Let us honor the memories of those who faced the flood with courage and determination, reminding us that even in the darkest moments, the strength of the human spirit can shine through. As the years have passed, the memory of that fateful day continues to be etched into the collective consciousness of Boston. The Great Molasses Flood is a cautionary tale, a poignant reminder of the fragile balance between industry and community. Today, it stands as a testament to the need for vigilance and accountability, ensuring that the past is never forgotten and that the lessons learned are passed down through generations. In remembering the Great Molasses Flood, we honor not just the victims, but also the resilience of a community that came together in the face of tragedy, forever changing the course of industrial safety and the fabric of Boston itself.